Jan is in the chat saying, it's so great to see everyone's face, isn't it? It's like we're real people. We're not just a name on a screen on Facebook. Amazing. Okay, so let's get started. So most of you know me, I think, a little bit, but I'll introduce myself just in case there's any new faces here. So my name is Tara Jolly, and I have been ascending for the past 7 years. And I passed the 7th initiation about 2.5 years ago, making my higher self 100% in my body. His name is Anitri, and he is a 5th ray master. And prior to the 6th initiation, I had been ascending rather naturally. It was just moving along. It was definitely a focus and a dedication for me, but I was moving along quite naturally. And when I got to the 6th, I realized that I really needed to step up my game and focus and dedicate myself more to this if I was ever going to really embody my higher self and fulfill my mission. And I did not have natural psychic abilities of seeing and hearing like many others have. And so in the beginning, it was a learning process for me on how to connect. But when I made this my focus and I dedicated myself fully to my higher self, magical things started happening in my life. And that's really when everything changed. And through that dedication and focus, I am now fulfilling my higher self's mission. It became clear about a year ago, which is to help high initiates, help them to embody their higher self, step into their personal power, and realize their full potential of who they really are. And so I've been doing that with people one-on-one for the past 1.5 years. And I can say that I feel fully embodied most of the time with my higher self, which is just the most wonderful feeling. And all of that is possible for you too, if not already happening. So just a quick note that everything that I'm going to talk about today really applies only to people who have passed the 6th initiation. And that's because your higher self does not come close to you until that point. So I open this up to everyone and all initiates because you'll all be there at some point. But just know that until you reach the 6th, you're not really able to communicate with your higher self or connect on a deep level. So I'll start by talking a little bit about what the 6th initiation and beyond is all about. What is the focus? So the 6th initiation is when your higher self starts coming into your body. And this stage of ascension is all about getting to know your higher self, connecting with your higher self, learning what your higher self's new ray is, and mastering that ray. It's also about cleaning and clearing your lower self in order to become the clear vessel for your higher self to embody. So it has so much to do with devotion to higher self. And it requires a certain bowing down of the lower self in honor of the higher self. You are one. You come from your higher self. Your higher self is your divine parent, is your creator, is your personal God within. So you are one, you are a team, but your higher self is the greater being. And it takes a certain humble bowing down of the lower self in devotion in order to really develop this relationship and move forward. So it's a lot about devotion, getting to know your higher self, taking the time to connect in your sacred heart and your holy heart, And I have a free guided meditation on how to do that for anyone who's interested, if you don't have it already. Verna also has a great article on her website about the Sacred Heart and Holy Heart. This is really the doorway to the higher realms, the Holy Heart. And this is where you will receive the most direct communication and connection. So it's really, really important to meditate with your higher self in your Sacred Heart and then your Holy Heart, and give devotion there. And it's really, the sixth initiation is really so much about cleaning and clearing the lower self. So there's a lot of pattern clearing that will come into play. Clearing your negative patterns, negative beliefs, limiting beliefs, fears. This is something that you'll do with your higher self. And in doing so, you become more of a clear channel. And another thing to be really aware of is that your free will is always honored, is always intact. So there's a belief among many that when their higher self arrives, that it'll be like a magical switch and higher self will take care of everything. And that's just not true, because your higher self is an ascended master. Your higher self is this incredible being who can work miracles and do incredible healing. But you have to ask. Higher self is never going to impose your free will. So you, the lower self, play a vital role in this whole process. You are still directing this thing. So it requires your active participation and your willingness to show up for the process. Because you can definitely ascend and keep, advancing in your percentage with higher self. You can pass the seventh initiation. You can move forward in the process and still not really be connected to higher self and not feel that divinity. And there's a lot of people right now who are going through this. So it requires really your active participation. So for a lot of people, this can bring up fear around losing their lower self. As you begin to let go of so many of your negative patterns and beliefs and fears, and you're embodying more and more of your higher self, who is a different energy. It's higher self is an ascended master. Higher self is it's a separate being. You're a part of higher self, but it's a different energy. They often have a very different personality. All of your rays have changed to the singular ray of your higher self. So there's lots of changes happening at this stage. And this can bring up fear about losing the lower self, the personality, the person you have been your entire life up until this point. And I just want to ease any fear that you may have around this, because the changes happen slowly, first of all. It's very slow. There's no major changes, especially in the beginning. So you have a lot of time to adjust and a lot of time to feel into this new you. And the other thing is that large parts of you will still remain. I still feel a lot like Tara, the good parts of Tara. And I still can be with all of the people in my life that have known me my whole life. I can still have fun and make jokes and be light. It's not this super heavy thing. But there is a letting go. And with that comes some sadness sometimes and some grief. And I know I've experienced that, this death of the lower self at different stages. And my advice is really to let yourself mourn that loss. Let yourself grieve. Feel what you feel. It's okay to be sad, even if you're letting go of something that no longer serves you. We can still have attachments to our negativity or our not so healthy habits. So allow yourself to move through this process at the pace that feels right for you, and really acknowledge how big of a change you're going through. So it can take a little while to settle in and to adjust, and that's okay. And the other thing is that as you're clearing your patterns and you're clearing your lower self stuff, and you're becoming less and less the negative parts of your lower self and more your higher self, it's going to feel good. Higher self is an ascended master. Higher self is a magnificent being of light. Higher self is pure love. So there's nothing to fear. It's going to feel good when that divinity flows through you and when higher self starts to embody in you more. It's going to feel natural. It's not going to be something that will scare you. It will be the most amazing journey that you've ever gone on. So I hope that this helps to ease a little bit of fear that you may have around losing the lower self. And now I want to talk about the mission. So we all know that every higher self has a mission to complete on this planet. It's part of why they're here. They're also here because you are a vehicle for your higher self's ascension. So higher self is ascending with you and through you, through your physical experiences here on Earth. So that's part of it. The other part is that they have a mission to complete. They are here to anchor their high vibration and their light here on this planet. And not all higher selves choose to work with humanity for the mission, but a lot of them do. So our higher selves are here also to help everyone else ascend and help the Mother Earth ascend. Now, I want to take the pressure off. If you feel any pressure around this mission, first of all, it's your choice. Your free will is always honored. And it's your choice how deep you want to go with this and how far you want to take it. Also, even if all you ever do is exist, that is service to the light. That is helping others. You are a living portal for your higher self. So you are anchoring your higher self's high vibration here on this planet. Everyone who comes in contact with you is benefiting. Everywhere you go, your higher self's high vibration follows. You're clearing other people's karma at the 6th initiation and beyond. You're anchoring your ray energy here. So even if you don't do anything else but just be you and live your life, you are in service. So I just want you to take the pressure off yourself and relax a little bit about the mission. Now, the mission usually doesn't become clear until sometime after the 7th initiation. I know for me, it was around the 2-year mark, post 7th. So everybody is usually kind of ready to go right away, but it takes a little bit of time. The other thing is that the mission will never be revealed in its entirety. They're never going to sit you down and say, here's the mission, here's the plan, now go out and complete it. It doesn't work that way. It's only ever given step by step and piece by piece, slowly. So at first, you don't even realize that you're on the way to completing your mission. So as you're connecting with higher self, as you're clearing your lower self patterns, your higher self will start to give you little nudges, little breadcrumbs of, check this out, pursue this idea, talk to this person, or things will present, something will happen, an offer or an invitation will come your way. And if you're connected to your higher self and you can feel your higher self's guidance, you'll know what direction to go in. You'll know if it's the next right thing for you. So watch out for those hints, those nudges, those little breadcrumbs. It doesn't really come about as a big, important, grand plan at first. So it's all about paying attention to those little signs and signals and staying really connected to your higher self. Higher self will show you the way. And the other thing is that you need to take action. You need to take inspired action. So you might get a nudge or an idea, or something will present itself. And it might sound good and feel good and higher self is on board, but how often do we just kind of sit on it and say, oh, I'm not quite ready for that. Let's wait a little bit. It's all about taking action. This stage of ascension is all about embodiment, bringing this forward into 3D life. So if you get a nudge, go for it. Don't delay. Take that first step. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to know where it's leading. You just follow the path as it unwinds. And the other thing is that higher self has been waiting for this moment to be here on earth with you for a very long time. All of your thousands of lifetimes, all of your dimensional lives, thousands of lifetimes. It's been a long wait. So higher self is thrilled to be here with you on earth. Higher self wants to experience things through you. And you are not doing this alone. Your higher self will work through you, speak through you. Higher self will provide you so much assistance. You can't even believe it. Putting you in touch with the right people that you need to be in touch with, giving you resources that you need to complete this mission or this initial first step, giving you guidance, bringing that high vibration forward. So a lot of people have fear about the mission and feelings that, how am I going to do it? And what even is it? And am I good enough? Am I worthy enough to do this important work? And what if I don't have the skills? And what if I don't know what I'm doing? And a lot of fear comes up, but you're not doing it alone. And as you take these small steps forward, following higher self's guidance, higher self is going to come through for you. Higher self is never going to let you down. So you will have proof of this support. You will be shown. You will have experience again and again and again on how reliable your higher self is. So it starts out slowly. You gain a little bit of confidence. You start to see that you can really trust higher self. And as you go on, it gets easier and easier. So you are worthy. There's only one soul who gets the honor of embodying higher self, who has paid all that karma, who has put in the work to ascend. And that soul is you. So there is no other one to do this. You are worthy and you are ready. And you have all the resources you need right here with higher self. Now, that's not to say that you won't be scared and there won't be fear that comes up, because there will be. Anytime you are doing something new, anytime you are changing, anytime you are trying something new, you're stepping out of your comfort zone, and fear is going to come up. You've never done it before. So this is normal. This is to be expected. Change only happens outside of the comfort zone. It cannot happen and you stay comfortable at the same time. So it's learning to recognize that fear is actually your guidepost to the next level. Fear is actually a flag waving to you saying, you're on the right track. This way, this is the way. So it's about leaning into that fear and realizing that you have to go through that uncomfortable feeling in order to get to the other side. So the fear doesn't last forever. That's the other thing. You don't stay in that state forever. Just by the act of doing something that you're afraid of, it begins to rewire your beliefs in your subconscious mind, because you are doing the thing that you're afraid of. So that action sends a message to your subconscious mind that that belief or that fear is no longer valid. And the subconscious, after a couple of times of this, will eventually drop the belief. And this creates change on a really foundational level. So the time to take action is always now. And you need to watch out for your ego, who is wanting to keep you right where you've always been. Your ego does not want you to grow, does not want you to expand, does not want you to become more. So growth and change is very threatening to the ego. And the ego will try to reassert itself by talking you out of doing the thing that you're afraid of. So all of these voices of fear will come in. What about this? What about this? This is the worst possible thing that could happen. Now is not the right time. You know what? I just need to be a little bit more prepared, and then we'll do the thing, like next week or never, So you have to really watch out for that voice, because it's going to be loud. And the only way forward is by taking action. You can never be prepared enough to not have that fear present. So you just need to take the first step. The rest will follow. There's a certain momentum that kicks in when you take that first step. That's when all the resources and assistance and guidance and support comes in. It doesn't come in beforehand. So that first step is vital. And it's kind of like the leap of faith. That's what I always talk about, the leap of faith. You take that leap off the edge, not having complete certainty about where you're landing. It's about trusting your higher self, trusting your higher self to guide you, to be there for you, to provide these resources, trusting in this whole ascension process that you've been doing for quite a while now. I think for most of us, in the beginning, we ascended kind of quietly to ourselves. I mean, we're in the Facebook group, but it's not something that we're really bringing forward in our daily lives so much. I mean, it's different for everybody, but it's something that we kind of keep within ourselves. And so when you get to the sixth initiation, it's more about embodiment and more about bringing that into the world. But it doesn't mean that you have to tell everybody about your ascension. It doesn't mean that you have to be a teacher, or it doesn't really mean anything. Everybody's higher self has a different mission, and every path is unique, and every path is valid. So the mission is usually not what you think it's going to be. It's usually quite a surprise. So just stay open to the possibilities and look for those breadcrumbs, look for those little nudges from higher self, and take one step at a time. Leaning into the fear, understanding that that fear has to be there, and that there are so many rewards on the other side of that fear. This is when everything really starts to happen. So I just want to invite you to drop any questions you might have into the chat. I've been talking for a while. I'm going to take a look right now and just see what might be there. Oh, it's so nice to see you guys. Hi. So another thing is that I want to mention is really to honor who you really are. Accept yourself in truth. And that means accepting your light. I know it can be a little bit hard for our human selves to fully comprehend that we are the home to our higher self, that we are the one to embody this ascended master. And I know that it's hard for some people to even really comprehend that their higher self is an ascended master. It's like, we know that, but do we really understand the significance of that? And just how unique of a position that we're all in. So it's really about accepting yourself in truth. And it's not an ego thing. It's about stepping forward in authenticity and shining your light out to the world. The world needs you. We all need you here, shining that light. So try to put aside as much as you can your self-doubt. It is going to come up. It is going to rise. I mean, this is a process of becoming. This is a process of self-mastery. This isn't something that happens overnight. But remind yourself, you did the work to ascend. You heard the call and you answered it. Nobody can pay your karma but you, and you did that. Nobody can ascend for you. And only one gets the honor of embodying higher self, and it's you. So to disrespect yourself or to kind of talk negatively to yourself is really a disrespect to higher self. You are one. You are the home of this magnificent master. So be gentle with yourself and try to love yourself through this process. It's not always easy. This isn't a magical switch at the 6th initiation where higher self just takes care of everything, but it's worth it. It is the most incredible feeling to embody your higher self and to feel that divinity in your thoughts, words, and actions and expressing in the world. Fulfilling my higher self's mission of helping high initiates is the most fulfilling thing I have ever done. It's the most joyful, incredible journey. And you will feel the same when you step into your mission. It's not a burden. It's not a huge struggle. There's challenges, but it's going to feel good. So fear of the unknown can tell us all sorts of stories that just aren't true. Try to take it one step at a time. And remember, it all happens much slower than we'd like it to a lot of the time. So I'm seeing a question in the chat here from Audra. Hi, Audra. She says, I think she's saying, what if at the lower level, when you get these nudges, if higher self hasn't embodied yet? Great question. So yeah, those nudges are going to happen prior to the 6th. Absolutely. You could call this your intuition, you know, messages from your ascended master team or from your guides. You're going to get internal guidance on the ascension path if you're really tuned into that. Follow those nudges, follow those feelings. Only now can I look back at the last number of years and see how everything that I was doing then was actually preparing me for now. I've been working for Verna as her assistant for the past few years, and I always thought, there's something about this, like I'm really steeped in all of this ascension knowledge, and I'm really immersed in ascension in such a kind of a different way, and it must be coming into play at some point. And I see now that that's part of preparing me for this point of helping high initiates, but lots of other things too. So yeah, it's going to happen. There's going to be some preparation, but you usually don't realize it until you get farther down the line, and then you look back and you say, oh, that's why that happened. That's why I was doing that, because there was things that I did over the past few years that kind of didn't really make any sense to me at the time. I got the nudge and I did it, but I was like, what is the point of this? Why are we doing this? Now I see. So yeah, those feelings can come in at any time. So I want to unmute everybody and open you up to the question and answer section. Also, I feel like I'm just talking to myself here, all quiet. So I'm going to unmute everybody. Give me a second here. I think I can do this all at once. Feel free to also drop a question in the chat if you'd like. I'm asking to unmute you all. Let me know if you're getting that request.
I did.
Oh, great. Hi. Okay, I just asked to unmute everybody if you're willing. Hi, Audra.
Hello.
Good to see you, sister.
See you.
Hi, Sim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, it's so nice to see everybody. Do you feel this power of all of these higher selves and all of these high initiates gathered? It is electrifying. So does anybody have a question for me? Any questions coming in?
Tara, can I ask a question?
Yes.
It has always been bothering me. What happens to the lower self when we they say pass on? I know it gets absorbed into the into our higher self, but where does it go?
Yeah, so when your physical life here on earth ends,
yes.
yep, you will be called home to the higher self.
Correct.
So you go back to where you came, that's where you were created from. So you go back to the higher self, and higher self continues his or her ascension out of body. So the journey continues. You're just not as active, but you go back home. Does that answer your question?
Where's home?
Well, home being your higher self, because your higher self is your creator.
Somewhere in the body, is it?
Well, higher selves, they don't have a body. How that exactly works, I'm not sure, but higher self is who created you. So that's where you came from. That's where you will return to. And, the ascension continues out of body. So even ascended masters are still ascending. They eventually become cosmic masters, and then I'm sure it just continues from there. For me, it seems like there's just no end to this. There's no finish line. So yeah, you'll go back home to higher self and continue the journey out of body.
Will lower self get a chance to be an ascended master?
Well, your higher self becomes an ascended master when you pass the 6th initiation. So they are new masters relatively compared to, you know, ascended master Jesus and Kuan Yin and all the OGs, old school masters. When you pass the 7th initiation, your higher self becomes an ascended master in body. So no, your lower self does not become the master. Your lower self is really a vehicle for your higher self's ascension. So we have a question in the chat. I am so sorry. I don't really know how to pronounce your name. I think it's Yokya. Tell me if I'm wrong, please. When you go back to higher self, do you still exist? Can you still interact with loved ones like some sort of heaven, or do you just cease to be? This is a good question. I'll be honest, I don't entirely know the answer to that, but the answer, I believe, is yes, that it's not that you cease to exist, it's that you change form. And your higher self is really your true self, your divine self. That's your God self. So losing the body and losing the personality and the ego and the lower self isn't really, you're not really losing your essence. Your essence is the higher self. So I think that yes, you are still going to exist. You're just in your kind of pure divine form. And as far as interacting with other loved ones, beings, energies, I think that is absolutely possible, because the higher selves are ascended masters, and ascended masters are walking with many people on earth as part of their ascended master team. So they're definitely interacting, you know, they're definitely serving humanity and serving all the different dimensions out of body. So yes, how exactly that works, I'm not sure, but yes. Okay, he's writing in the chat, thank you. Oh, you can't unmute. Okay, so what else? Anybody else have a question?
I kind of have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like I've reached this point where I was just shooting for this really high level of spiritual connection.
Mhm.
And then when my higher self came into my body, I was like, okay, I'm back into this world, you know, and I'm just confronted with the reality that other people are, I don't want to say this in a judgmental way, but they haven't done that work. And it's almost like I'm trying to look for how to be of service around a lot of people who I think they're just spending all this karma and they're not doing the work. And I'm like, you know, I spent all this time trying to get up there, but now I'm in here. And so how do you use that to make an impact on the world when I'm just surrounded by all these lower energies all the time? And it's almost like I'm shocked, because it's like I've done so much work to get to that point, and then I'm just inundated with this shock of, you know, wow, you know, you really believe this and you really have this energy that's just a little bit lower. I don't want to say that in a judgmental way, but it's almost like how to navigate that. And sometimes I need support, but I just kind of go to my higher self for support. But it would be nice to have people to communicate about how to deal with things like that, you know?
Yeah, I can really relate to what you're saying. The higher and higher you ascend, the more you will feel the difference between that high vibration that you have and lower vibrations. So I know for me, there was definitely a period of time throughout the sixth initiation where it was hard for me to be around people. It was hard for me to be in crowds. It was a time of integration. And it doesn't last forever, that kind of heightened sensitivity. You'll still feel it, you'll still feel dense, low energies, but it does get easier over time. Take the time to give yourself rest. If it's hard for you to be around people, you don't have to be around people all the time. As much as you can, give yourself what you need. I mean, I went through a period of many months where I was really quite isolated, and it won't always stay that way. The nature of reality is always changing. So you're going through such a tremendous change on all levels as you're going through the sixth and then the seventh, that allow yourself time to adjust. It's a major change. I mean, all your chakras change and you lose that connection with the Mother Earth. And yeah, it's a big deal. So I have found that it didn't last. And now I'm able to be with people. I'm able to be in crowds. I'm able to have, 7 hours of Zoom calls a day, and it's not affecting me in the same way anymore. Just you existing is being of service to these people. So even if you never speak to them, say anything to them, engage in a conversation, they are being affected by your high vibration. And it's also, it's not your job to wake people up. Of course, if opportunity presents and there's an opening there and somebody's interested in asking you, and, follow that and, light the way. But people have to come to their own process themselves. They have to choose it for themselves. There's nothing any of us can do to make somebody want to ascend or work on themselves or anything like that. So part of it is just accepting that some people, they just are where they are, and we love them anyway. Do our best to just love them right where they are. And, there's a lot of people that in my life, when I first started ascending, that, are a little bit kind of weirded out by me sometimes. But they came back around. Like a lot of them years later now have kind of come back around, and they're curious now and they're asking questions, and people can really surprise you sometimes. But yeah, just give yourself what you need and time to adjust, and definitely surround yourself with people who are ascending. I mean, get involved in the groups, reach out to others who are ascending, because it can be kind of a isolated and lonely path at times. Most of us are ascending without other people around us in the physical ascending. So get that support where you can, for sure. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. I think I don't know if anyone else experiences, but like my empathic abilities have just like increased tenfold. So I experience other people's, all of their issues. It's like, even physically, I mean, my brother's girlfriend went to the hospital for heartburn, and the week before I had like heartburn all day. I feel like I'm just very empathic. And so it's like, who's me, who's them? And, the low vibration definitely gets to me. So it totally makes sense what you say.
Yeah. I experienced this as well, like a really heightened awareness of other people's emotions. And it became a much easier for me over time. And use that healing shawl, use your grounding oil, and give yourself time to yourself. There's a lot of integration that's needed. So I'm getting another question here. Does it become difficult to do certain practices? For instance, a lot of healing work has focus on chakras like Reiki, etc., yoga, mantras. Do you have to find a new way to function with this, since you no longer have a normal chakra system? Well, you can still do the practices that you feel called to do. There are things that change, though, because when you pass the sixth, you lose your connection to the Mother Earth. So anything really tied to your birth date, like your astrology, isn't really relevant for you anymore. I mean, I still feel like a Pisces in a lot of ways. You know, it's not like my whole personality got wiped out, but full moons, astrological events, all of that stuff that used to really affect me, it's like no big deal now. So anything really tied to your birth date is tied to your connection to the Mother Earth. So that really doesn't apply to you anymore. And also, the chakras change. Yeah. So you definitely don't need to be using any oils on your chakras. You know, after the 6th, all you really need is grounding oil and maybe a personalized oil. The sprays, the roll-ons, all of that stuff is good. But keep doing the practices that you want to do, that feel good to you. I mean, use your own discernment on that. But I will just say to really whatever you're doing, include your higher self and make your higher self your number one. So it's really these later stages of ascension are so much about acknowledging that your higher self is your greatest healer and greatest teacher, looking to no other. So if you are looking to an outside healer, or you are looking for outside guidance or anything like that, your higher self is going to honor your free will and step back. So this is a big letting go at the 6th that is hard for a lot of people. You know, we've had a lot of outside support leading up till this point. We've had a lot of teachers and a lot of helpers, and it can be hard to let them go and to realize, hey, it's just me and higher self now. It's just me and me. It's just all inside. And, you know, let go with love, have a proper goodbye, but look only to your higher self, and that will serve you in so many ways. So we're kind of getting close to the end of our time. I can't believe that it has been this long already. Time warping. I just want to say that, you know, this event was really kind of an overview, and there is so much more to all of this, of course. So this is why I have created my Embody Your Higher Self group course. And we start the 2nd week in May. And we're going to be focusing on all of these things in much greater detail. So the course is for 6th initiates who are at least 30% higher self in body. This is because you need time to adjust, you need time to come into your own power, and really time with higher self alone. So you have to be at least 30% or quite close to it. And also for 7th initiates. And this course is all about what we've been talking about here, you know, getting to know your higher self in a deep way, developing this connection with your higher self. Even if you don't have natural abilities to see and to hear, and you don't have those psychic abilities, you can and you will develop them with your higher self. It's different for everybody, but it will happen if you devote yourself to it. So it's really about communicating with higher self, getting to know higher self in a deep way. And then we're also going to be doing a lot of work on the lower self. So clearing these patterns of lower self and really working through this fear. I've been teaching a method for change and manifestation and working with fear in my one-on-one coaching. And it's highly effective. It creates change very quickly. It's based in action. And so a big part of this course is really cleaning the lower self. That alone will create a connection with your higher self and bring higher self so much more close to you. We're also going to be doing work around stepping into your ability as a healer and being prepared for the mission. Because every single one of you, all of your higher selves are incredible healers. There is nothing better than receiving a healing from an ascended master. If you're doing hands-on healing, it doesn't get better than that. You are a direct link to your higher self ascended master. So you can also do it from a distance, but whether that's something you want to pursue for just yourself, your friends and family, or in a greater sense, realizing that ability will really help bring you into your power. And so that's part of the course. And then there's just a ton of accountability. We all know that we're supposed to be doing certain practices and sitting in devotion and connecting in the Sacred Heart and Holy Heart and all these things. But life is busy. We all have a lot going on. And how often do we let the days go by and we're not doing them? So there's a ton of accountability throughout this course. And then, of course, the group energy is really special. So we're going to have a private community for those in the group, lots of supporting each other. You'll also receive some one-on-one sessions with me in addition to the weekly group calls. We'll have a 90-minute group call once a week. And it lasts for 3 months. So if anybody is interested in this course, I have 3 spots left. So book a free call with me and let's talk about it and see if this is something that's right for you. I'm going to drop a link in the chat right now. And you can also go to my website. This is the best way to book the call. No obligation. This is just a chat to see if this course is right for you. But I do need you to we need to complete this call no later than the end of next week, because the course is starting the week after. So if you feel a nudge, if you feel an inspiration, the time to act is now. So let me know if you have any questions. I'm dropping that link to the course right now. Well, in a minute. And I have another question here, which I'll answer. Give me 1 second here. Okay, there's the link to the course. So Patricia says, we have just a few minutes, in the 6th initiation, is it normal to experience losses of home, job, family, etc., to move you through fear? So this is a great question, and I'm glad you brought this up, Patricia. Where do I start? I'm going to quote Ascended Master Isis right now. She says, life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. And this is true throughout all the initiations. Everything that you are experiencing is really a gift for your greatest evolution. If you can see it that way, if you have your eyes open to that, whatever is happening to you is bringing forward certain lessons. It's bringing forward certain patterns that need clearing. It's bringing forward maybe some fears that you need to face, like you mentioned. And if you can pull back from the human drama that's playing out and see this whole thing as a stage for your evolution, you will learn those lessons faster. You'll see the message in it. You'll see the reason why. And you will move through these difficult experiences much more quickly. So higher self is going to be bringing forward things for you to see and to look at and things to clear. And yeah, it's not always easy. There can be there is challenging times. So it's really important to always pull back and say, what is this here to teach me? What is this here to show me? What is this triggering in myself? What fears are coming forward? And also looking at it through the lens of your higher self's ray. So between the 6th and the 7th, you're really mastering the ray of your higher self, and lessons of that ray will be coming forward. So reread the description of your ray and try to see the angle there of what's happening. But also, life just continues around us too. Not everything that happens is completely related to your ascension. Sometimes it's just life stuff, or it's other people's lessons. And but if something is happening to you, you can be sure that it's trying to get your attention in some way. So Try to embrace it and see the big picture. And sending love to you if you're experiencing these losses. Change is not easy. It's definitely a process. So just be really gentle with yourself and give yourself what you need for support. So Pink Ray, love and forgiveness. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I just got goosebumps when she wrote that, because it's it's love and forgiveness, not only for others and for what's happening around us, but also for ourselves. So beautiful. So that's our time, everybody. I can't believe it. It went by so fast. I have really enjoyed this immensely. I hope you all got something out of it. And I'm going to be doing more events like this, not for a little while, as I'm about to launch this Embody Your Higher Self group course. So if anyone here is interested and you're around 30% higher self, check out the link in the chat and book the call with me so we can talk about it no later than next week. And feel free to email me or message me on Facebook if you have any questions. And I'll continue to be sending out lots of Ascension support through my email list. If you're not on my email list, send me a message. I'll get you hooked up there. And I also have a free guided meditation for helping you to connect with your higher self and your sacred heart and holy heart. So if you don't have that yet, send me a message. I'll make sure you get that. People have been saying that it's been really helping them and helping them connect on a deeper level. Eventually you won't need any sort of prompt or guide, but in the beginning it can be helpful. So, well, I guess that's it for now, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I love seeing all of your beautiful shining faces, and let's connect again soon.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you
Thank
much.
you. Oh, I don't want to say goodbye. I don't want to hang up. This feels good. All right. Love you all. We'll connect again
Love
soon.
you.
Okay.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.